Okay, so I wonder if you can hear me. This is going to be about things that have happened that the city here has done about homelessness for the last 30 years. Starting with the first one, I think is wrong and needs to be made right. And I would like you guys to listen to these and tell me if there's anything we can do. Can we sue anybody or change some laws or do something about any of this stuff? Let me know. If there's any civil rights violations, anything like that, let me know, please. Uh, the first one is I got to the city in 1994-ish, somewhere like that. The city was filthy, was just filthy. I ended up restoring all these areas myself. I'm putting this in because I think it's relative to the story. I restored all these stairways and started just picking up trash. All these stairways were just like a foot and a half deep of trash just buried into his condoms, needles, and human waste. And the tourists stopped coming here. I went up to Twin Peaks for the first time, and I saw it was the whole hillside where they put the pink triangle was like a landfill. There was this much trash. There was nothing growing there, and I cleaned that all up and I restored it. And the tourists said, "Oh, they're gonna come back," because the tourists were like not coming here at all. It was so filthy. Anyway, the city blamed the homeless people on that mess. And the whole time, I'm cleaning that mess up for 15 years, whatever, restoring all these parks, 70 hours a week for free. It was homeless, just working all the time cleaning. And anyway, the whole time they're blaming the homeless people for that. And the thing is, they're still blaming the homeless people today. And the homeless people are getting an unfair rap because if they contributed to that, they weren't the main cause. And gay sex was the main cause. And such things as you could see how much gay sex was going on is you could look up Betty and Pansy's Extreme Tour Guide of San Francisco, and it'll tell you what bushes to have what kind of sex in. And you basically, every bush and parking lot was covered in the book, if I remember right. And you can see that the trash in the stories was condoms, needles, and human waste. If it was human waste and needles, maybe the homeless people, but they aren't having that much sex. The condoms everywhere, so many condoms. It was the gay sex everywhere. I seen it happening. And it's just unfair that the homeless people got the whole blame and no one ever took any other blame. And that's where I came into the picture, where they started treating us bad at. Okay, then they one thing they did is they took these and this is just written right on the thing. You should be able to figure this one out. They took these no trespassing signs. I used to, believe it or not, be the unofficial mayor of Castro Street, and the homeless people basically have a pecking order, and we all made sure everyone kept everything clean. And the homeless people would sleep in the doorways of businesses, and this particular business would sort of adopt them as a kind of a sub-employee, and they would like take care of the place at night, clean it up in the morning. They'd get paid a little change or this and that, breakfast money or something, and everybody got along. It was a well-oiled machine. Believe it or not, about 10, 15 years or something that happened. Then Jane Warner, quote unquote lovely Jane Warner, she was an anti-homeless person. She came in and you can check this out too. I'm sure there's some kind of witnesses left. She went around forcing the businesses. It's a choice. Right on there it says a choice whether you put that in your window or not. She forced all the businesses. To this day, today now, it's just unwritten law that every business has to have that immediately. But the law hasn't changed at all on the thing if you read it. And they haven't been following it to the letter of the law, and they forced everyone to put this on their doors, and she forced everyone to stop letting homeless people sleep in their doorways. So the homeless people stopped having jobs with these merchants and stopped getting along with the merchants, and that's where the separation happened. And trash started going on again, and homeless people wouldn't bother to pick it up, and it hasn't been better since then. But the one time it was good for 10 or 15 years, believe it or not. I was the one that instigated that. The thing is that just that no trespassing thing, that the fact that they forced that upon people, and they still are forcing that upon people. Okay, and they did some other crooked things and stuff. But then I'm gonna get to more of today's kind of issue. It started like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Now the story, you look it up, uh, Google. What's the word they use? Saturate. Newspaper going to wait. Media going to saturate the media with so many stories about homeless people that people will end up hating the homeless people and complaining about the homeless people. And this is a story they came out with like 8 or 10 years ago now, somewhere in there, in the Examiner, Chronicle, whichever one it is, and they come out blatantly saying that they're going to purposely put so many stories in the paper and make people hate the homeless people. And then all of a sudden they just had all these negative stories in the paper. You look, negative stories. Oh, back up to the other story. You look at all those stories, not one mention of gay people making it into that mess, et cetera, et cetera. You look up all the stories and you look up the evidence, and I got more if you want to know. Plus, I am impeachably honest person. I have this solid, honest reputation, and all kinds of affidavits to that, and I'm a witness myself. Anyway, so they got this story that they're going to do this to homeless people, and they started putting all these papers in. People started to be all negative and stuff, and then they started wanting to get rid of the homeless people. And that's where they started. It started with Ed Lee, the mayor, who then passed the torch sort of on to the London Breed. She started following his same plan of attack, but he started this thing about getting rid of the homeless. Like they did it first, blamed the homeless for whatever trash it was. Maybe it was our fault this time. I don't know. Again, as the city wasn't cleaning. Like the first time, also the city wasn't cleaning for like decades. They didn't clean it all. I got to tell you all about that. How I was helping them clean all these events and all this all this trash and all this restoring I did that they weren't helping with. I could tell you all that. But anyway, so. They put all these stories in the paper, and then Mandelbaum and the mayor and all these people that wanted these little votes or something started getting on this bandwagon about anti-homeless people. And these people were coming into the city with money or whatever. They didn't like the homeless people or whatever. And all of a sudden they were pleasing them, and somehow it was going like that. And then people started saying, "Oh, you got to care for the homeless people. You're not doing anything to help the homeless people." So then they turned it around and started calling what they're doing help, you see. And they're going to help the homeless people. But if you read that first story, and if you keep lying with it, they're not trying to help nothing, okay? And they're claiming they're going to help all the homeless people, and they're going to, put them in, take their custody away, as the law says, if they need to. But I'm not sure that they're going to be doing that evenly or fairly, and I'm not sure that they're doing it with the right intent. I'm not sure that they're the ones that should be doing it at all. And they're going to do things like, and there's stories in the paper about all this. They're going to do things like, okay, any homeless person that has a drug and alcohol problem, she says she's paid $1 billion to get us off the street, right? So that other people are not bothered by us, right? And if you have a drug or alcohol problem, or if you're crazy, either we're crazy, you're going to get locked up, take your hospital right away, and if you have a drug and alcohol problem, they're going to force you into treatment, right? Well, the only thing about that is isn't that crooked enforcement, because they're only doing it for the homeless people who won't seek drug or alcohol counseling. But everyone else in the city who's also causing costs and problems, the law doesn't affect them. So like, it'd be like saying, okay, all the Republicans who drink, that would be kind of fun to do, but anyway, no offense. But I don't think you can do that. And they're planning on doing that. They're doing that. They've been doing this whole time, and it's really affected me. This one thing they're doing all the time is this homeless language they use, where all homeless people are guilty of this. They make all homeless people. They lump it all into the homeless people, and the homeless people do this, and the homeless people do that, and then fight the homeless people. And it really took this city that was like an equal rights city, and it's really turned it around. It's not the same city. I think it's lost its crown jewel, brotherly love. Anyway, tell me if any of this stuff has any hope of becoming a lawsuit or a newspaper story or something, because I've been wanting this to come out for a long time. I wanted this change to happen for a long time, and so here I am, the person that picks up all this trash. This whole time I'm being blamed for this trash, all this trash, because I'm homeless, right? And now I'm being blamed for all this other stuff. So, anyway, at one point, I went over the whole, the neighborhood. Some people don't like me. I got people that like me or hate me, right? But I went over the neighborhood, and I become a member of the family, basically. Everyone really accepted me and liked me. I became a hero at one point, and everything was good. And then they start this anti-homeless shit, and I start to all of a sudden, I start to heal from my childhood problems. They start this anti-homeless stuff, and I stop healing again. It starts going bad again. I can't heal while they're still hurting me. Now everywhere I go, strangers, it's okay to just hate me because they don't know who I am. They hate me everywhere I go. How many different times, in 30 years that I've been kicked out of stores for stealing when I don't steal a thing and never have stolen a thing, and treated like shit. How many different times and how many different ways, by how many different people, and it just won't stop, and it won't stop. And this bullshit that the city's doing, putting the name of homeless people, making it worse than it is not helping. And they do things like they had this poop map for a while, and all the homeless people would poop, right? And so there was like 100 poops, right, on the map at the most. And they're blaming all 6,000 or 7,000 homeless people for that. And the stories in the paper, like I said, purposely making homeless people bad. So that paper, Randolph Hearst needs to be sued. I need to recompensate some of my money I lost. I could have been a millionaire by now. I'm a pretty popular person and was going up, and then it just shot me down in flames. And I don't deserve any of these trash tiles because I was picking up all the trash. And anyway, please text me, call me, email me if there's anything in here that you can use to help me. My name is Dane Johnston. My phone number is 1-415-800-9063. My email is Dane piece of trash at gmail.com. Peace like peace sign. And please, or forward it to somebody who might know or can help. Thank you, please.